Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mari's Golden Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. So you can catch this podcast on Podbean or on YouTube, like my YouTube channel, along with other video clips. You can find them at Mari's Golden Hour. Beep boop beep boop 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 boop. A lot of different things. I'm not going to be as long-winded as I was for the last episode. Although, I don't know, that might change. However, I don't think so. My neighbor, I believe they're watching a horror movie. I heard part of it. I don't know if any of that will bleed through at all or not, but heard some of it, and even just hearing a little snippet, I was affected by it. And while I love scary movies, I don't, but I do, but I don't. I definitely have to watch them with friends. I can watch it by myself, but, there's also that fun of being scared with other people. Like, you feel like you're not in it alone. So, but this year, parties that I know would take place, that I know I would attend, I have not, along with maybe, not, I don't want to say everybody, but some people have not attended things as well, for the obvious reasons. And I do feel bad for missing some things that I was invited to, but safety above all else. So, but hopefully next year. I'd like to think that this will not persist into next year, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so Halloween, this is a fun time, and doing little things to keep it fun and light, if possible. It's maybe it's the little tchotchkes that you get at a store, or it's the foods that you make, or the foods that you buy at the store because it's a new release, because it's a little fall sampling of something fun. So, I don't know if you guys are doing that, but those are the things that I'm doing. Buying that scented candle that just reminds you of all things fall. Whether it's Halloween or it's Thanksgiving. I was just thinking, do they make turkey and like stuffing scented candles? Is that a thing at all? I mean, I know that they have like cranberry and cinnamon and nutmeg and vanilla and things like that, or cookies, but do they actually have a candle that smells like turkey and stuffing? Because I think if that were out on the market, man, people would be buying so much food. Whew. Anyway, what did I catch? So a couple of videos. I am always a fan of these guys, and they can do no wrong when it comes to videos about animals and videos about nature. And usually when it involves people interacting with nature and with animals, it's always going to be a hit. And so with these two, I don't remember the exact title, but I think if you popped in Desus and Mero, they have a show on Showtime, if you're not familiar with them. They used to have a show on Vice, and before that, I believe they were on MTV. But they had sort of like one of those all-access shows. I didn't catch them at that point, but I saw them on Vice, and have checked out their podcast. And since those Viceland days, they've moved on to Showtime, and fans, basically the fans of the Bodega Boys and of the Bodega Hive will say that the Showtime show is not the same as Vice, and it isn't. There's something about them having that live audience that it's like, it's not the same as the old Viceland days. But with the lockdowns and quarantine happening, the format that they're using now is reverted sort of back to the Vice days, because they don't have that audience. And I feel, along with a bunch of other fans, it's like, yes, you're back to the roots now. But anyway, so for the two videos, and wow, so apparently I think this is on Netflix. And I don't know if it's a movie, if it's a documentary, if it's a show, a series of shows, or I don't know what it is, but I believe it's on Netflix, and it's some guy who's swimming with a bunch of, well, I don't know if it's just one octopus in particular, his love of octopi, it's just type in Desus and Mero guy swimming with octopus, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's enough to kind of make you bug your eyes out a little bit and raise some eyebrows and shake your head. And the other one, I believe, the title, I know I don't have it exact, but it's Defund Bee Police, or Defund the Bee Police, something like that. And it is funny. Just, even if you don't know where it's going, just stick with it through to the end. I'm not going to say anything more about it. Just type in those keywords and watch it. Something else I came across was one of those lists, and it was a list that was compiled of the best single season shows. And it wasn't just shows of recent years. I'm trying to remember what the criteria was, and they actually listed it, where I don't know if it's things that were just on IMDb, or I'm sure they use that in order to compile everything, but that there was some sort of scientific way that they had to figure this list out. But one of the shows was something that I mentioned last week, and it's the show is called The Prisoner. And last week I mentioned seeing part of one of the episodes, which was A, B, and C. So I don't know. I was just like jazzed, and I don't know. Maybe it's me, like, foretelling or seeing the future in a way. But The Prisoner, and along with that list. Oh, and I believe The Prisoner, it came in like at number, I don't know, I think it might have been top 3, maybe top 4. Might have come in at number 2. I don't remember. Actually, I think it was. I think it was number 2 on the list, or number 3. Now I can't remember. But some of the ones that you think are on that list, they were. One of them being Firefly. I think Firefly was at number 1. And then I think Freaks and Geeks was on there as well. My So-Called Life. And there was like a list of others that when I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that show came on, and I wondered why they didn't stick with it. Darn it, I'm trying to remember the names of a couple others, but I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about it next week, because I don't want to waste time waste the dead air by sitting here trying to think about it. But I can't think of it. So maybe next week I'll revisit that. And I know this isn't the show, but it's one of them that it's Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen. What I didn't realize is that particular TV show was a precursor to the Naked Gun film franchise, because it had all those other, like the gags and the bits that carried over from that into Naked Gun. So, I don't know, it was very cool. What else did I come across? A dad in New York City. I believe he resides in the Bronx, the BX, the Boogie Down. He was in a car dealership, and he wanted to surprise his partner with a car. And he was with his kids at a car dealership, and a shooting ended up going down. And so he ended up shielding his kids from that shooting, and he ended up taking a bullet. And I don't know if it was one bullet, multiple. Regardless, he got injured and in the hospital. And so he's in the hospital, and I don't know if what happened was before the friend posted a GoFundMe page or after, but apparently this guy lost the jobs that he's working. And yes, I said jobs, and that's plural. So I don't know if he had 2 jobs, if he had 3, if there were more than that. I know I've been in that boat before, still in that boat now of, I am there at one point in time or another of having it feels like 4 different jobs, 5 different jobs, and you do what you got to do in order to pay the bills and keep it moving. And so I don't know if he had 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4. I don't know. For some reason I'm thinking maybe 2, but regardless, he lost his jobs, and I'm trying to remember what they said or if they even said why. I don't know if it's because he couldn't report to work. In the article, they did mention what his jobs were. I'm trying to remember what one of them was. I think one of them was in construction, like building homes, and another one was as a driver or doing something in manufacturing. But regardless, he lost his employment, and I think it's because he was in the hospital and just couldn't physically be there for his work. But to lose your job over, well, number one, protecting your kids, and because you got shot and it wasn't your fault, that's just, I understand that we're in trying times, but come on. So a friend ended up creating a GoFundMe page, and I think the goal was at like 20,000. It was over 20. I don't think it was quite 25, maybe 24,000, something like that. And it ended up reaching over $100,000. 122, maybe over that. So I just thank you for those people that did donate, and shame on those jobs that to lose your job over protecting your children. And even if it wasn't his children, he was protecting somebody else. Maybe it was another customer at the car dealership. But really, he was protecting his kids, and you're going to lose your job over that? Over somebody else who is shooting at a car dealership. Just, what else did I come across? Oh, there was a police raid in Vietnam at some company that they were reselling condoms, and it was over 300,000 condoms, used condoms that were being resold. Now, I don't know. Do I even need to say anything about this? But ew, like how nasty, and man, how slimy, pardon the pun, to resell used condoms and to profit from this. And 300,000 used condoms. So the police raid happened. So and they caught those involved. At least I like to think so. So how many condoms prior to this point had already been sold to either people in Vietnam, globally, regionally? You know what I mean? And is this the kind of shady tactic that has led to so many maybe unwanted pregnancies, or women and men that did not want to have children in their family, but then, and they decided to use protection so that way everybody could be safe and not pass along any STDs or any other diseases and pregnancies. But then they ended up getting pregnant, or they ended up getting a disease, and they just chalked it up to, well, maybe it's because we were kissing, or maybe, something happened on the outside of that condom wrapper to somehow get it, or, you know what I mean? That's just, I really do wonder how many condoms went out that they didn't catch. And how did they catch it? How did they know? Or, I don't know. I just, you. Also ended up reading an article about someone in office who said that he made Juneteenth very famous. To that, I'm just going to give an eye roll. I don't even know if I even need to comment on it. A lot of ridiculousness out there. An Argentine politician, he ended up resigning from his job. He quit after he was seen on a work, I guess a Zoom meeting, but it was online, it was on video. but he was seen kissing his partner's breasts. And, like when I read the article and read about what the actions, I guess, that people could see on their end, apparently his girlfriend ended up getting a boob job, and during this meeting, I guess the guy thought he wasn't, the video section wasn't, grayed out or whatever it is, and he called his girlfriend over because I guess she got a boob job, and he wanted to take a look at it and said some suggestive comments and ended up kissing her breasts. And I don't know at what point people either decided to clear their throat and say, hey man, you were on video, or if they let this play out so he can just, I guess, hang himself out to dry. But he ended up resigning or quitting. And so I sent this out to some friends, and my comment to it was like, well, this almost feels like it's a slow news day, or just kind of a normal news day, pre-pandemic and pre-craziness that are going on in our own government. And to which I did see some replies that, yeah, and also in reading the rest of that article on, and I'm trying to remember how that article ended, but it was humorous, and not that I'm excusing his behavior at all, but then so I do have friends that live in Buenos Aires, and one of them gave even more backstory onto this politician, and he did not sound like he was a good man or a good man to have in office, and so it sounds like he is highly, highly, highly problematic. Like even before this incident, I was reading about pedophilia and just some other shady businesses that he was involved with. So, yuck. I didn't do too much experimentation with food this week. I was a little too busy for it. I did experiment. I created this cocktail for myself, and really, it's nothing crazy. It involves whiskey, because whiskey is delicious, especially really good whiskey, and apple cider. And I zhuzhed it up using those ingredients. And also, I've been having a lot of problem getting sleep this week, and just my schedule's all kinds of thrown off, and hadn't been able to sleep, and but had to be up early in the morning, and eating later than I want to, and then just being wired and jazzed, and finally I just steered into it, and there was coffee that I didn't have time to drink. Had half a cup of coffee, but I didn't want it to go to waste, so I'm like, let me reheat this, and let me add a splash of whiskey. So it was like my lazy person's Irish coffee, which, and actually, if you're going to make the drink Irish coffee, it's a little bit more involved and a lot more sweet, but I'm not a fan of like those overly sweet confections. I don't mind it for my ice cream, but for drinks, not so much. And speaking of sweet, so a friend had emailed and mentioned this delicious little treat that I had never heard of before, called Chocaroom. I don't know if it's Chocaroom or Chocarooms. I can't remember if it's singular or plural. But obviously you get more than one in the bag, and apparently it's like a little Japanese treat that used to come with a cartoon or a comic. And so they were they were saying what it looked like, and I don't know, you look up Chocarooms and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I think that might become a new favorite little treat. I haven't had it yet, but it looks like it would be delicious, and seems like they have a couple different flavors. I don't know if they have more than two, but the two that I saw were a combo milk dark chocolate and a strawberry cream, or sweet strawberry cream, something like that. But definitely for the chocolate one, I'll try. What else did I come across? Well, I remember talk of this, or maybe the people up in arms about this, and rightly so, about the voice actors on The Simpsons, the white people who are reading characters of other cultures, as opposed to getting more than competent people of that culture to do the voice readings. And so I guess apparently finally they're doing it. When I read the article, it's like, all right, well, it's a little too late, but why wasn't this done in the first place? But anyway, but it's being done now, I guess. However, when I was reading about one of the characters, it seemed like they were getting this actor to come in, and he's only going to do one episode. So I don't know what that's about. Like, why just one episode? Why isn't he just the voice actor for this character, and he is that voice character maybe for the season, as opposed to one episode? And see how he does and renew the contract then. Like any other actor, but or just cast them and they are that character without. I don't know. Just really one episode. The other thing I was reading, going along the diversity track, is the BAFTAs, the BAFTA awards. That's the awards that they have overseas, over in I don't know if it's all of England or just a London thing, but apparently they unveiled the review that they did for I guess it was like a diversity review, and so they ended up unveiling the results for that, and I read through them, and it seemed really extensive, and they made sense, and they broke it down in a way that anybody could understand the process and the voting procedures that they're going to use going forward. And it made sense, and it's like, after reading it, it's like, well, why weren't you doing this all along? And all right, I appreciate that they're doing this now. And then the other thing I got kind of like, I guess lightly miffed about is I don't recall the Oscars being that comprehensive. After that whole Oscars so white thing that we were going through, 2 or 3 years ago, and we saw like a little blip of change and then nothing for like the last Oscars. And it was just, all right, back to the same old. And, but I think they gave lip service and said that, yeah, we're going to widen the membership. But it was just like a light little blah, 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 feathery, and here is a little bit of fluff, and that's it. But they weren't like the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs, they had a review. I don't know how long it lasted, but they checked things out, and then they offered up the results, and there you go. And it was like a long list of what they're going to do for the categories, the actors, and the requirements that they're going to have everybody do who is qualified and enlisted to vote. And again, the way they broke it down is a way to make it fair, and it's understandable. So I don't get why the Oscars can't follow suit. But the BAFTAs have it down. So if you're curious, just do like a Google search and put in the BAFTAs. That's BAFTA, and put in diversity review results, and you should see the article. I think it's in Variety. I think that's where you'll see it. Yeah, pretty extensive. Going along a little bit more with the diversity. I haven't seen it yet myself. I just caught like a little blurb about it, that apparently the show Friends, they basically a charity table read was being done with an all-black cast. And you know what? I am there for it, because I haven't watched Friends. I don't get it. It's never been a thing for me at all whatsoever. And I'm a little disgusted by it. I've been disgusted by it. Even, through syndication, all that stuff. Like, from what little I gathered, it's this group of white people who live in these great apartments. And I'm not saying anything that's new. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this before, whether you've seen the show or not. Have these great apartments. I don't even know if anybody has a job. I don't think they do. And it doesn't seem like it's funny. And they're in New York City, and yet there's no white people. New York City. New York City. Now, I know that there's sections of New York that are not as inclusive as others. However, from what I gather of this show, they're not in any of those sections at all. So, I don't know. Now, compared to Seinfeld, same thing, where you pretty much have like this all-white cast, but for whatever reason, I didn't feel like they lived in some make-believe New York City land. It felt like they actually lived in New York City, and maybe they're in a certain section of New York City, but you still felt like there was some culture there. Now, I don't know if you felt like, or for me, so I never found Seinfeld to be as offensive to my senses and sensibility like Friends. And I wonder if it's because Seinfeld felt like they were in culture, or I don't know, there was just something like I wonder if it's because they weren't all like these pretty and like basic and average for like that wouldn't offend anyone in the country in any sort of way, and there wasn't anything distinctive and that stood out about them, or nothing that was interesting, like interesting features, like an interesting body that was like, oh wow, that's quirky or cool, or something that stood out, or like something interesting about their facial structure, or the way that they move their face, the way they move their body. And I felt like Seinfeld, even if it was like all white people, but it was rooted in, I felt like a certain like Jewishness. And I don't mean that in any sort of offensive way. It's like there was something about like the heritage that came through, so that culture was there, and like the isms and the quirks and the things that make people human. They felt real, like they had real problems that everyday people had, and even if there were some weird hijinks involved, it's like it was based in reality, and based in the reality of real New York City, and I don't know. I think that's, and I watched Seinfeld in syndication, and I enjoyed watching it, and I didn't see every single episode, but again, it didn't offend me. Until that whole Kramer stand-up bit where he just went off on this like racial slur rant, that's when I kind of I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done. No more. Nope, none for me, thanks. But up until that point, I was able to hang with him. So, yeah, the Friends all-black cast for charity, that table read, I do plan on watching it. So that'll be on my list of things to do this week. I'll add it to the long list. I learned a new word this week. The new word is, are you ready? Tertiary. Tertiary. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Tertiary. Yeah, I like it as a word. I think I'm going to see if I can try to add it into my vocabulary. Tertiary. And the meaning is, and I believe I have it right, it means third on the list. So, tertiary. What else? Oh, I think I read this maybe like a couple weeks ago. I can't remember, but there is this Indian man, very wealthy. He decided to nix a medical face mask for a face mask made entirely of gold. That's right, it's not painted gold, it's not gold fabric. I am talking about real gold, like jewelry gold, expensive gold. Not gold leaf, but gold. And in the pictures that I saw, I don't see where it's all that healthy or how it would fight any sort of anything. And as far as I could tell from what I could see, it just has tiny little holes poked through. A bunch of tiny holes. So it's not even like a mesh fabric that's behind it that we can't see. It's just tiny little holes. So I don't know what it's going to protect, but he is adding that to all this other bling. And I guess he ended up making that mask because he saw some other man, I believe he's also in India, who had a mask made of pure silver. And even that little silver mask that offered no real protection from what I could see, but I guess go ahead and do what you do. Let's see. The other mask that I saw that stood out, it's a Louis Vuitton mask that they were selling, and I can't even call it it's not a mask, it's a face shield. Excuse me. It's a face shield they were selling for over $900. I think the exact price was $960. Yeah, $960. Not $9.60, not $90.60. 900.00, or I'm sorry, 960.00. Yes, and from the looks of it, it is just a plastic shield with the Louis Vuitton, the LV logo trim all around it, with the band also in the same logo, and it's just a band that goes around the head. The mask itself, you can flip it up, sort of like a welder's mask in a way. That's it. I don't see where it's doing much protection, but I guess it's just like any other, face shield that you have. Like, you can't just have that. You should be wearing a mask because anything else will just swoop around it. I mean, it's great to protect the face and to protect the eyes, but as far as the 100% protection, you might want to put on a mask with that. So anyway, I guess if you are looking to spend your money on something and you have it to burn, there you go, the Louis Vuitton face shield. I know I mentioned this last week, but if you need something to uplift yourself, check out the miniature horse leaf blower. Just pop those words in and you will be delighted. And I feel like a lot of people need that because I got the sense that, and I'm part of this too. So this week has been a busy week, and I've been glad for it because it got me out of a bit of a rut that I was in and got me out of my own head. I didn't have time for my own organization within my own life, but the busyness felt like I was shaking off some major cobwebs that have been piling on mentally, physically, and emotionally. And, I haven't been as well balanced as I would like to be. I've been taking little tiny steps towards it, but not anything hugely effective. Not as big as I would like, anyway. And so yeah, I've been just feeling overwhelmed, and I missed some meetings and fun stuff. And I hate that I missed that, but that's part of the busyness too. And I had to choose and pick one over the other. And some of that busyness bled over, and like I was having tech issues, and I have this laptop that is on its last legs, and I need to get a new one. And if I had the new one, then some of this other stuff wouldn't have snowballed like it did. So anyway, life. So last weekend, I just felt like there was this collective depression, with myself, friends, acquaintances, strangers. Like, there was everybody. There was, and I remember being a part of this email list of friends, and one person was just reaching out just to, share love and hugs and say hello. And I made my reply like, hey, well, I'm feeling overwhelmed and just out of sorts, but good to go. I kept it short, and I wanted to keep it positive. I didn't want to dwell into my own black goo or my own spiraling into just bleh and depression and whatnot. But other people did. They did include everybody else, and they were like, yeah, this has been going on, and this is happening, and Some people just dealing with more than most, and being affected by, nature, Mother Nature, and what's going on, and, the fires or flooding or earthquakes or the pandemic, loss of work, and the list goes on. And people I know and others that I don't know, but I know that they are affected, and myself, and just, everybody's going through it. And hearing that from the people that I do know, and then hearing that general sense of like, oh, wow, and just that weight bogging down of just blah from acquaintances and people I kind of know, but don't know them personally. And then just hearing the stories from complete strangers, it's like, okay, it's just further proof that, we are all connected. And what affects one affects others and affects the masses. And, I'm sure even if you don't participate in this, they have those World Yoga Days, and where you have like millions or thousands or hundreds of people collectively, they're taking part in a yoga class, and everybody's meditating, and, the world feels that. Even if you're not participating in that, the nature feels that love, the world feels that love, the plants, water, oceans, the dirt, the sky, the air, it all feels that. And I'm not saying that from a woo-woo standpoint or to get that woo-woo feeling from everybody. I'm just stating I believe, yeah, it is fact. It is scientific fact, and they've done experiments to prove that. And if you don't believe me, pretty sure you can Google search this, like the water test, and I remember seeing it in this movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? That's where it hit me the most. And within that movie, I believe they were talking about this water test, and where they had just a little drop on I don't know if it was like a drop in a petri dish of water. And I think it might have been just regular tap water. And they had I think several different petri dishes, like, I don't know, 7 or 8, dropping a little from the why can't I think of it? The little squeezy thing. Darn it! You know what I'm talking about. So they squeeze like just one little drop of water, maybe a few little drops on a petri dish. Same amount on every single dish. With one dish, they were speaking to each dish. Now, I don't know if they put a dish in different rooms or how they separated it, but the words that were spoken to each drop of water were different. And it ranged anywhere from things that were positive to things that were bad. And, like from saying like, oh, you're ugly, I don't like you, I hate you, blah, and just really nasty stuff, to the other spectrum of like, I love you, you're beautiful, you're great, oh, you're the best, and oh, you're doing so great. All that range. And so with the negative, the gooey, nasty stuff, they saw when they magnified it like 100 or 1,000 times, it was murky. It looked like swamp water. That's the best way I can describe it. And this is like tap water that they got. I'm pretty sure it's tap water. Again, look at the movie or look up the test and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it looked like it was just thick and you couldn't see through anything. And it was just like murky and just like, just stagnant and just like, And then going to the other end of the spectrum, where it had positive things that were talked about it, and it was bright and clear, and just it had, and I can't remember if it had that look of like snowflakes, how it just has like these beautiful designs that are in it, but it was something that was just beautiful and appealing. It's like, whoa, man, that is for real. And so, and I'm digressing here because actually I meant to talk about something else, but I'm going to go on this track. So I always keep that in mind, and at least I do my best to. There's something to be said for when you are talking to your plants. And, and I often talk to plants quite all the time. At least I try to. Sometimes I forget and I'm busy. But just to say, happy, nice things about it. And even going out and talking to trees. And if you want to hug the tree, great. But just saying something nice to that tree and letting them know, thank you so much for shading me. And you have no idea how much that helps. And again, experiments have been done about this as far as the plants all talking to one another. They do, because again, you can look this up yourself, and I'm only saying because I don't want to forget the track that I was on, but where again, this experiment was done, and they know that plants do talk to each other out in nature, because if one is being attacked, I don't know if it was a certain flower or something was growing, but certain insects were attacking it, and it was sending signals to the other plants that were like, hey, look out for these things. And so they all talked to one another, and I think they changed something about their chemical makeup to make them unattractive or possibly poisonous to that predatory, insect that was attacking them. So they do talk. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, talking positive to your plants in your house, to nature outside, and even to ourselves. I'm sure everybody's heard how 80% of our bodies or 70% of our bodies are made of water. And so if we're talking negatively to ourselves, I think about that water test. If I have that negative talk about myself and, either how I think or how I look or how I sound, and just, and it's enough when other people are giving it to you, but other people give it to us, which sucks, but we are giving it to ourselves twice that, or quadruple that, and that's not good. And that's, I believe, what creates that dis-ease within our bodies. So, it's hard to get woo-woo, and again, I don't mean to get woo-woo, but I don't know. Anyway, that water test, talk nice to yourself and be nice to yourself, and that goes a long way. And I believe that's just another example of our words do have power, and they do have meaning, and they can help and hurt. So let's help. Let's not hurt. And okay, so I digress. Anyway, I think yeah, you know what? I'm going to end right there. Oh no, actually, I'm going to end with this. It's a question that I have been stewing and not stewing, but just mulling over. Mulling over for a while. And I wonder, has anyone ever actually slipped on a banana peel? That's my question. And please give me your feedback. Let me know. Has anybody ever actually slipped on a banana? Man, I cannot talk. But it's late, and I do need to have something to eat. So my mind is a little... But yeah, has anybody ever slipped on a banana peel? I do wonder. And with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for hanging out with me. I tried to keep it as short as I could. Hopefully I did that. I think I did. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. And stay hydrated. Get your sleep. Go out and walk about nature. And say hi to nature while you're out there. And give nature some love. And give yourself some love as well. And with that, enjoy your golden hour.